ELD, what's up? Alright, so here's a quick video for the directions for week 5 module 2, our SCR. Essential idea is what we're focusing on today. Some of you may know it as the main idea, some of you may know it as the gist. It's just the main idea of a piece of writing that the author wants the reader to remember the most. So when you're reading something, you're watching something, you're listening to something, there's going to be a central idea to it. And that central idea is what the author, the writer, the speaker, whoever wants you to remember the most about it. So what are they trying to get through to you, right? I have a little video here if you want to watch it. It explains a little more, just give you some more support there. And for this part here, explain in your own words. So you have watched the video, I gave a brief little talk about it. Definitions up here for you. Now you explain in your own words how you would define central idea. So I'm going to ask you, what's the central idea of this text? All right, you think in your mind, well, what's central idea? How would you explain that to somebody? All right, now how you would explain a story, right, is what is the central idea, right? Define that in your own words. So the story that we, are well aware of, the story is The Terror by one of my favorite writers, Junot Diaz. He is a phenomenal writer, and I highly suggest as you get older that you read some of his literature because it is some of the most powerful writing I've ever read. Really fascinating, really entertaining. He's hilarious. He writes very, his writing is very real. It's not some hoity-toity stuff. It's really, really easy for the reader to kind of understand what they're like. He just talks with a very realness. It's tough to find. So, in an article for the New York Times Magazine, Professor Junot Diaz writes about how being attacked when he was in 7th grade impacted him psychologically. Before that attack, I had felt fear plenty of times. Which poor immigrant kid hasn't? But after my beating, I became afraid. And at any age, that is a dismal place to be, writes Diaz. So Diaz knew that the fear and that terror of these boys would ruin him, right? Which is why he writes the story. Because back then, when he was going through, he didn't know if he could ever get through this. He was scared. Had a lot of fear, which is very normal and a lot of people have. And now he looks back on it, it's like I was able to get through that very traumatizing, 4 years of my life, 3 years of my life. It's crazy. So the central idea of the story is that fear tormented, right? Tormented means agony, stress, right? Torturing. If you're tormenting somebody, you're pretty much torturing them, right? And controlled him until he no longer allowed it to, right? So that fear was really difficult for him to deal with, and he let it control his life until he decided not to. And what we're going to do, we're going to answer this prompt. So what two pieces of evidence best supports the central idea of the terror? Now, sorry, it's super windy out here. I just got knocked over. There we go. So we have our central idea. We know what we're focusing on. You're going to find two pieces of evidence that supports this central idea, right? So we know that it let him control his body and his mind. So what I want you to do is have that piece of evidence first. So introduce the story to the reader. What is it about? Introduce the central idea. What did Junot Diaz have to overcome? This fear. And which introduces us to the central idea of the story as being, and then you would put there the central idea of the story. Now this first piece of evidence here is going to be important because this is how you are going to show that the fear tormented the author, Junot Diaz. So this piece of evidence that you're finding, this quote from the story, is going to be a quote that shows the fear working against him, how it was negative towards him, right? Explain your evidence, then you want to explain that more, right? We're just introducing the piece of evidence, and then we're going to explain our thinking behind it. So why does this evidence support your thinking, right? Evidence always supports our thinking. Like, it has to be what we are talking about in the story. So how does it support your thinking? And then for the second piece of evidence, what you got to do is provide evidence that shows how he overcame that fear. So he overcomes it at the end, so I would immediately go straight to the end, right? I know that it took him a while to do it. It took him 3 years to get over it, but I know that he eventually did that. So I'd go look for it at the end of the story. 7 is how would you end this, right? So this is your own words. Summarize what you just wrote about and decide whether you think it was important for Junot Diaz to overcome his fear. Did it help him in his life? Does he look back on it with a lot of pride? Is he happy that happened? You tell me. You end this how you want to end it. I didn't give you a sentence, Sutter. So you create your own there. I have an exemplar. This is the first three sentences just to get you going, right? You don't need me to find. I mean, I don't want to find evidence for it, but you got this stuff figured out. All right. Check your criteria for success. I haven't changed this yet, so ignore it on my screen. On your assignment, it'll be changed, but maybe to check that against your writing, just so you know that you're following along and doing the correct writing. All right. Enjoy, guys.